Welcome inside the Mountain West Network studio. I'm Jesse Kurtz, host of the Mountain West Blitz, where we take you around the Mountain West and get you the inside scoop from our network of campus experts. Before we hit the campuses, let's take a look at the updated Mountain West football standings, get you caught up on where things stand at this current moment. 5 teams control their own destiny in earning a berth in the 2015 Sports Authority Mountain West Football Championship game. In the West Division, San Diego State, undefeated in conference play, has the inside track. Over on the mountain side, Boise State, Air Force, Utah State, and New Mexico can all still make the title game if they win out. Certainly an exciting finish is on tap with 3 weeks left to decide things. Time now to talk to those who know your teams the best. We'll start with the University of New Mexico, where the Lobos are coming off a signature win of the Bob Davie era, 14-13 over Utah State. The Lobos picking up their 5th win of the season, the most wins in a season since 2007. Let's bring in the man who called the big game for the University of New Mexico, Robert Portnoy. All right, Robert, give us a sense of what it's like in Albuquerque and on campus. How big of a buzz is there around this Lobo football program right now off of the big win over Utah State?
Jesse, there's a lot of different emotions running right now. A little shock, a little disbelief, certainly, but a lot of pride. It is so impressive to see what Coach Davie and the Lobos have done, in his 4th year now. And you mentioned 2007, the last time they got 5 wins. Also, the last time they went to a bowl game, and it was right in Albuquerque in the 2nd New Mexico Bowl when they beat Nevada and Colin Kaepernick. And a lot of fans have an idea that not only could the Lobos do something really special within the conference, but if they don't happen to win the Mountain West, hey, they might be back at home playing in New Mexico Bowl again.
That would be fantastic, and they're doing it with defense against Utah State. We all knew the Lobos could light up the scoreboard, but they did it with defense, and you mentioned it, the Lobos now control their own destiny as it relates to getting in to the 2015 Sports Authority Mountain West Football Championship game. The stretch run, Robert, very tough. They got a game against Boise State, Colorado State, and Air Force. But with this win, I would imagine, that they pretty confident going down the stretch against the heavy hitters in the conference.
Coach Davie talked about getting it going downhill, Jesse, and that snowball, it picks up more snow as it rolls down. The momentum builds, the confidence builds, and sure, this is a situation now. You look back to 2 years ago when the Lobos welcomed Utah State to Albuquerque. Coach Davie said New Mexico looked like gnats against the Aggies. The Aggies completely pushed them around and didn't belong on the same field. The transformation is complete. The Lobos are competitive with anybody in the league, and the slogan has become, "Why not us?" in that locker room.
Why not you? Appreciate the time, Robert, and travel safely to Boise.
Thanks a lot, Jesse.
Speaking of New Mexico's trip to Boise, Idaho, the Broncos will be well rested, coming off an off week, heading into the showdown with the Lobos. Let's bring in the voice of Bronco football, Bob Beeler, who joins us from Boise. Bob, ironically enough, it's New Mexico who has put the Broncos back into the driver's seat, controlling their own destiny as it relates to getting into the 2015 Mountain West Championship game. How at all has this affected the mood or preparation for now what is a very big showdown with the Lobos?
Well, today at the press conference, Coach Harsin said it did not affect the mood, although I've got to believe that privately people have to be excited. I can speak on behalf of the fan base. Everybody in the fan base is excited now. They don't have to scoreboard watch. If Boise State can take care of business and win all 3 of its remaining games, they'll be in the championship game. But I want to caution all the Broncos fans, too. Air Force and New Mexico are both in the same boat, where if they win out, they win the conference. Utah State still can get it with some help. So the Mountain Division is definitely the more competitive side this year.
No question about that. I got to ask you, as his career winds down, how much fun has it been to watch Darian Thompson play? Earlier this season, he became the Mountain West all-time interceptions leader, passing the great Eric Weddle with 19. Of course, now his career winding down, only a handful of games left. How much fun has it been to watch him play in the secondary and prey on opposing quarterbacks?
Well, that's exactly what he does. It looks like he lays in wait, and then all of a sudden, as a free safety, kind of appears out of nowhere. I don't know of anybody that watches more film and really studies what the quarterbacks and what the receivers do. He has 19 right now. The school record is 24. It was set back in the non-FBS days with 3 regular season games. If Boise State's fortunate enough to get to the Mountain West Championship. That would be a 4th game. A bowl game would be a 5th game. 19 plus 5 equals 24. I wouldn't be surprised if he could have a shot at tying that record if the Broncos are fortunate enough to put 5 games.
No reason. He's a big reason the Broncos have been successful, and he's being awarded a Jim Thorpe Award semifinalist. Well-deserved for Darian Thompson. Appreciate the time, Bob, and have a great call on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Air Force has won 3 in a row, including a 20-3 victory over Army last Saturday. Falcons now in control of their championship destiny with 3 games to go. Up first, Utah State at Falcon Stadium on Saturday. On the call, as he is every Saturday for the Air Force Falcons, the voice of Air Force football, Jim Arthur. Jim, the defense has been on some sort of a roll lately. Haven't surrendered an offensive touchdown in 11 quarters. I ask you this, is it the scheme that they're designing going into these games? Is it the players, or is it some combination thereof?
Jesse, I think it's a combination of several things. I think certainly it's the job Steve Russ has done as defensive coordinator. The playbook is simplified, which means the guys don't have to think too much. They don't have to react too much. They just go and play. I think that's number one. I think it's the players, number two. The guys buy in. They like the aggressive style that Steve Russ has given them to play. So I think that's important, even with the injuries they've had. I think the other thing, and you can't discount this, they haven't exactly played Alabama, Ohio State, and Clemson the last 3 games. They played teams with young quarterbacks. That goes into it, certainly. But nonetheless, I think you give Steve credit and the Air Force defense a lot of credit as well for playing lights out these last 3 games.
Got to give a lot of credit to the offense and the running game of the Air Force Falcons. And I look specifically, they were bitten by the injury bug at the fullback position, DJ Johnson and Shane Davern. But what that allowed this team to do is find some other guys, put them in different positions, and some young guys have stepped up. They found a wealth of talent and depth at the running back position because of injuries.
Yeah, they really did, especially at tailback, because they took tailback Jacoby Owens and moved him to fullback, and he's been sensational at fullback. And then at tailback, you've got Benton Washington, who's played well, and then Brian Driscoll, who's come out of nowhere and has played exceedingly well. Jesse, he had 5 carries on the season until 3 games ago, and then he goes for 144 yards. I mean, he's been terrific. He's a guy, certainly, that gives Air Force an extra burst to the outside and gives them speed on the edge.
Falcons are hosting Utah State at noon Mountain Time on Saturday. Air Force has won 11 in a row at Falcon Stadium, which is a school record. Appreciate the time, Jim.
Anytime, Jesse.
San Diego State is in control of the West Division at 5-0 in conference play. The Aztecs host Wyoming this Saturday. For more on Rocky Long and company, we bring in Chris Hello, who's on the Aztec broadcast team. Chris, the Aztec defense has been sensational over the last couple of years in conference play, holding 12 Mountain West teams under 400 yards of total offense. Now, we know Rocky Long always puts his stamp on defense, but this is outstanding. How are they getting it done?
Yeah, the month of October, they were amazing. Their first 4 games in October, they were giving up 180 yards per game, which was just insane. It was number 1 in the entire nation. Colorado State actually moved the ball pretty well against them a couple of weeks ago, but they came up with 4 turnovers, and that was the difference in that game. Everybody's healthy. I think that's number 1, and I think number 2 is, or probably that's 1A. Number 1 is just the fact that Rocky Long is really good, and he's a good play caller, and he figures teams out, and he makes adjustments. And you know, the Colorado State game, I thought the Rams really did well in the first half, and went up and down the field. A couple of fumbles cost them, or they would have had a lead in that game. But in the second half, Rocky Long made just a couple of little changes, and that seemed to do the trick. The guys up front have been fantastic. Alex Barrett should be an all-conference player. Sanchez is undersized, but he's played really well. Christian Hayward missed the first few games this season. He's back to clog the middle. The front 3 guys are clogging everything up and leaving it wide open for Calvin Munson and Jake Feely to make all the tackles. And then on the back end, DeMonte Casey's having a dream season at cornerback. I mean, 6 picks. Had a pick 6 against Colorado State, and he's also not afraid to come up and lay a lick on you if you run a sweep. So to me, you know, this is just a defense that has a bunch of all-conference players on it right now, all playing really well together.
No argument on this side. And on the other side of the football, Maxwell Smith, the quarterback, so efficient with the offense right now. Over the last 5 games, he's been nearly perfect, at least touchdown passes versus interceptions. 6 touchdown passes, 0 interceptions, completing 66% of his passes. What's been the difference between him over this 5-game stretch as opposed to maybe the first couple of games where he did throw a couple of picks?
Donnell Pumphrey. That would be my answer to that. I mean, Donnell has gotten rolling with the running game. The offensive line is clicking now. Started right at the beginning of the month of October and then got a huge boost when Darrell Green came back from suspension. And as soon as he came back, this offensive line just started blowing people off the ball and giving Donnell Pumphrey the creases that he needs to start putting up 180, 200-yard games again, and he's doing that and breaking long runs. And so, it's wide open for Maxwell Smith now to throw the football. And, even when teams know the Aztecs are running, they still haven't been able to stop the run. So they've got to commit 8 guys to the box, and so that's taking away the linebackers underneath and opening up the throwing lanes for Maxwell Smith. By the way, he's up to 7 games in a row now without throwing an interception, which is a San Diego State record. So he deserves a lot of credit because, as you said, he's been tremendously efficient in the passing game, and that certainly hasn't hurt the offense.
Good running game, always a quarterback's best friend. Appreciate it, Chris, and enjoy the weekend against Wyoming.
Good catching up with you, Jesse.
That's going to do it for this week's show. For Robert Portnoy, Bob Beeler, Jim Arthur, and Chris Ello, I'm Jesse Kurtz. Enjoy another week of watching Mountain West football. Thanks for watching the Mountain West Blitz.